All right, sit rep. We got brand new news from PUBG and a combination of some leaks and using our big brains, our big domes. Let's talk about a few things. Brand new PUBG DMR coming. If you can see from the image down below, that's the SVD, aka Dragunov 762 DMR coming to PUBG. Weapon balances and gunplay mechanic changes. More on that in a second. Miramar and Erangel map changes. All of that and more are coming with update 25.1, which we should plan to see that update, I think, at the beginning of next month, like the first week of August. So let's jump in. If you enjoy the content, hit that like button. It helps the video, helps the algorithm, helps your boy. This first print that I'm doing is going to be this size. This is the visor for the level 3 helmet. PUBG announced and released a new dev letter around gunplay, and I'm not going to read the entire thing. I'll just kind of summarize it because that's what you guys come to the channel for. So it's a big long dev letter, and I read it all, and it's actually really interesting information if you're in to that kind of stuff, like learning PUBG's kind of insight and their mindset on why they do things, like in terms of making changes to the game. But in essence, this developer letter goes over kill rates for AR DMRs. It goes over win rates. What are the more likely used weapons? Like, for example, this little chart says monthly kill rates by assault rifle. And it shows, the M4 and the AUG are really well used. The barrel, a little bit of the ace, and then, barely any AK, and then a mixture of the other ones. Same thing for DMRs. Mark 12 is the highest used one right now, followed by the SLR. Then the Mini 14 and the SKS are ironically kind of tied, which is surprising to me. I would have expected the Mini 14 to be much higher than the SKS. And then again, just more charts and graphs, and then a lot of discussions around why they made the changes. Okay, so here's the TLDR. What PUBG has been doing over the past year or so is they've been basically, instead of like trying to really balance all of the guns around each other, they've kind of taken the approach of adding new weapons that would kind of just shake up the meta in itself. Like, for instance, they saw that the barrel was being outchosen over the M4 by a long shot. So they added the AUG, the crate weapon, nerfed it a little bit, not much, nerfed it a little bit, and brought it into the world spawn to kind of shake up the meta. And according to the graphs, it did exactly that. It shook up the meta a pretty good bit. So now you got the AUG right up there, kind of neck and neck. It's almost 50-50 with the barrel now, which is good. You don't want to see a one weapon meta. Now they did not take the approach of buffing the lower tiered assault rifles in DMRs, which is what I would have liked them to have done, or still see them do, like the SCAR, the G36, the SKS. Like the weapons that aren't performing that great. Maybe we, instead of nerfing the higher tier ones, maybe we just buff the lower tier weapons a little bit to kind of help bring them in line, and just give players more options and variety of choice, because that is specifically what they say their focus is to give players choice, how they play the game, which weapons they pick up, all that kind of stuff. And so again, without diving into all those details, that's the idea behind the dev letter, is they talk about why they made the choices they made, how the data has been trending from what they've been seeing, and based on the current data, what they plan to do about it next. So that brings us to this chart right here, which shows the Mark 12 is by far the most used DMR by a long shot, and it's a 5.56 gun. So instead of necessarily taking the approach of buffing the SKS or the SLR, what they're going to do is add another 7.62 DMR, and that brings us to the Dragunov SVD, I think is the weapon code for it. And so I will read this last little paragraph here because this is about future plans. So in our last dev letter, we committed to enhancing the excitement of gunplay in a more encompassing way. Here's a glimpse of forthcoming plans. Initially, our goal is to foster fresh gunplay opportunities via updates to weapon categories or even larger scale trends. What that means is hinting at, do you remember the dev map that I covered like a couple months ago? The big like PUBG partner dev interviews, like 3 hours long. I condensed that all down for you guys. In one of the sections, they talked about under barrel mounted grenade launchers for assault rifles. That's what they, in my opinion, that's what they're hinting at when they're talking about fresh gunplay opportunities. They'll continue to monitor the usage and, you know, make balances as needed. This includes lesser used weapons within the AR DMR category, as well as SMG and LMG, which consistently display lower overall usage rates. They will carefully review and develop these non-mainstream weapons so that they can have their unique identity and functionality. Moreover, during this process, we aim to minimize updates that could be stressful to players, such as excessive adjustments to favored weapons, because they saw some pushback, you know, when they nerfed the M4, then they reverted it and it kind of went back and forth. So that's good that they're acknowledging that. All right. We're also excited to inform you that you will soon get to meet a new weapon and new gunplay features. That is the underbarrel grenade launcher. Some of this content has already been hinted at through the previous dev letters on social media. Again, the underbarrel grenade launcher. In conclusion, blah, 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 blah. They want to ensure the gunplay in PUBG Battlegrounds, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, continues to be cherished for years to come. We are committed to persistent innovation with diversity and opportunity serving as our guiding principles. Thank you, PUBG team. All of that out the way, Dragunov SVD, a brand new 7.62 DMR. And I gotta be honest, I'm super excited about this because the last game that I played that had the Dragunov was probably like SOCOM 3. Dragunov. I spelled that right? Look at this thing. Look at this thing. I mean, it's a badass looking weapon. What is going to be interesting to me is to consider how this weapon is going to be slotted into the meta. From what I've seen them do, my guess is that this weapon is going to be an SLR competitor. Perhaps it has a lower magazine count, but maybe a more accurate bullet with higher damage or something like that. I don't know how they're going to balance it exactly, but when you look at the gun, it kind of is an SLR in terms of like the amount of attachments and whatnot it can hold, because, you know, it basically has a muzzle. It does not have an underbarrel rail, and you can put a cheek pad on it like you could an SLR, you know, and obviously an extended magazine than a scope. So like, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of options to differentiate it from the SLR, aside from, you know, a faster bullet velocity and a lower bullet damage, or vice versa, higher bullet damage but a slower bullet velocity. You know, I don't know exactly how they'll do it, but that'll be exciting to see, just a new weapon to get added anyway. Now, one thing I was considering, I was like, man, what if they actually make this a crate gun and bring the Mark 14 into the world spawn and slightly nerf the Mark 14? Because if you look at their track record, that's kind of what they're doing. They took out the M249 and nerfed it, brought it into the world spawn. They took out the Tommy gun, nerfed it out of the crates, brought it to world spawn. They took out the AUG, nerfed it, brought it to world spawn. So that there's an obvious trend that PUBG does. The DBS shotgun was initially in the crate and it came out world spawn. So there's a trend where PUBG is taking weapons out of the crates, injecting them into the world spawn, and then replacing those weapons with another thing. So this Dragunov could potentially be, in my opinion, it could be a really fun VSS type of weapon. Like, they could make it to where it's crate only, but it comes already like kitted out from the crate. So maybe it already has like a special scope on it. It already has a cheek pad, a magazine, a suppressor, or something. They can make it a fun, like, unique weapon, and then bring the Mark 14 into the world. And if they did that, the Mark 14 would be, I mean, just so dominant, right? So it'll be interesting to see what they do on that. Let me know what you guys think below about the new weapon and maybe how they might inject it into the game. On top of that, I covered the dev letter back in January, I think it was, and PUBG talked about new Erangel and Miramar map changes. Oops. But somebody tweeted out just a picture of the Miramar change. It was just a rock, a boulder that got added, but essentially just confirming that the Miramar revamp and the Erangel revamp are coming likely with update 25.1, which should be again dropping in like the first week of August, right? Because I think PUBG put that in their own roadmap that I covered about a week ago. Lineup 3 map update, August 9th to August 30th. So there you go. The first week of August, we can expect to see the map update for Erangel Miramar. Mega Collab number 1, just a reminder, that's later this month. That's going to be the Street Fighter collaboration. Mega Collab 2 is the Aston Martin collaboration. That's that special crafter survivor pass that's going to include the Aston Martin vehicle, the special vehicle that you can get, upgrade, customize, all that kind of stuff. For example, most of the DMRs are pretty bad at very long range compared to snipe. Well, they have to be though. So like that's one thing they kind of, I mean, like, and you know, they know that they have to balance those weapons against each other. Right now, when you watch PUBG Esports, almost none of the pro players, and I mean like a super small percentage, pick up bolt action sniper rifles. And that's because DMRs are already really good long range, but they're also a much higher DPS. So if you were to have a DMR that's even better long range in the current meta, it's going to be like the one-stop shop gun. And that's what they want to avoid. So there has to be a trade-off. You have to have damage fall off, damage drop off, that kind of stuff to entice you to pick up other types of weapons. You know, need that. All right, so that's the update. Let me know what you guys think down below. Leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed it, and let's go actually play some PUBG now.